In Chaitanya Bhagavat, we see that Murari Gupta, Murari Gupta had taken a permanent by his fortune had Sri Chaitanya Dev as in his heart permanently. Murari Gupta, he took birth in a family of Ayurvedic physicians in the district of Sylhet. Now, he's a physician for the material disease. He was amongst the many associates of Mahaprabhu who appeared in Sylhet. It's mentioned in Chaitanya Bhagavat 1 to 35. The names of his parents are unknown. He was somewhat older than Mahaprabhu. When his family moved from Sylhet to take up residence in the Navadvip, they lived in the same neighborhood as Sri Chaitanya. So, Murari was Nebai's companion in many of his childhood pastimes. It's written in Chaitanya Charitamrita that Murari observed Mahaprabhu's childhood pastimes. His name is included in Chaitanya Bhagavat list of associates who appeared prior to Mahaprabhu's incarnation. Hidden there in Navadvip, there were many who had previously taken birth at the Lord's command. They included Chandrasekhar, Jagdish, Gopinath, Sriman, Murari, Sri Garud, and Gangadas. So, there is a mention of his early student life in Navadvip, and the story is like this. Along with Mahaprabhu, he was also a student at Gangada's Pandit's stall. When the Lord was engaged in his pastimes of learning and study, he would often engage Murari in joking and mock debate. Murari Gupta was amazed at Mahaprabhu's wonderful intelligence, and just the touch of his hand would so immerse him in ecstasy that he was early convinced that he was no ordinary being. One day, Lord was pleased with the explanation that Murari Gupta gave him, one which he was able to give through the Lord's mercy. He touched Murari with his hand, and his entire body was filled with ecstasy. Murari Gupta thought that this person can in no way be an ordinary human being. Can an ordinary human attain such scholarship so quickly? And his touch brings such aesthetic pleasure. So the Vaishnav ornament is humility. Mahaprabhu would melt when he saw the humility of Murari Gupta. Hare Krishna. He was the 21st branch of the Chaitanya tree. He was the storehouse of love. The Lord's heart would melt when he saw Murari's meekness and humility. Mahaprabhu showered special mercy to Murari. When Mahaprabhu returned from Gaya, he saw Murari at the house of Shuklambar Brahmachari. Murari had very much heard of Shuklambar. Prabhu's transformation from Shivan Pandit, from Shrivat Pandit. Mahaprabhu was pleased with Murari, and one day he gave him a vision of his form of Varaavatar. The Lord lifted Murari's water jug on his nose as he gave a loud roar. And Murari considered his life to have been fulfilled by this vision, and he composed a hymn in glorification of the Lord. This event has been described in Chaitanya Bhagavat Madhyavan chapter 10. The Lord took on the mood of that beautiful form in the house of Murari, and the Lord climbed on his shoulders. The Lord climbed on his shoulders and danced in the courtyard. Lord Gaurihari has that same kind of affection for Murari Gupta that Lord Ramchandra had for his servant. We all know that. Bajrang Bali. On the occasion of the 21-hour great manifestation of at the Shrivas Angan, the Lord gave Murari a vision of himself in the form of Lord Ram. When he saw this worshipable deity before him, Murari fainted. Then he glorified the Lord in a way. Then he fainted. Then he glorified the Lord in a way which so pleased him. He glorified the Lord in a way which so pleased him that he gave a benediction to Murari with which fulfilled all his desires. He ordered Murari, look at my form. And lo, Murari saw the form of Raghunath. एक बार रघुनाथ बुलाए. We know that, isn't it? एक बार रघुनाथ बुलाए. So Raghunath is Ram Chandra only. So he saw Raghunath, he had a darshan of Raghunath, Raghuvanshi, Shri Ram Chandra Ki Jai. So he saw the Lord of the universe in the swathi collar of Durga grass, in the swathi collar of Durga grass, sitting in the rasan in the posture of a great poor man. So Hare Krishna, he saw Sita and Lakshman standing on either side of him, and his army of monkeys surrounding him, singing hymns of praise. It seemed to him that he was himself one of the monkeys, and as soon as he saw this, he fell down in a faint. The best of the physicians, Murari, now he's seeing him. He saw the army of Lord Ram's army of monkeys who were singing praises. It seemed that he himself was one of those monkeys, and soon as he saw this, he fell down in a faint. The best of physicians, Murari, lay unconscious completely under the Mahaprabhu's spell. On one occasion, when Mahaprabhu heard Murari Gupta recite the glories of Ramachandra, he at once wrote the servant of he at once wrote to the servant of Ram on his forehead. He wrote the servant of Ram on his forehead. So it's given in the Chaitanya Charitamrita. On another occasion, Mahaprabhu displayed a four-armed form of Narayan in the house of Shiva and began calling the name of Garuda. Murari Gupta heard all this, and he, giving a loud roar, took the form of a king of birds. Mahaprabhu climbed on his shoulders. This Leela is Mahaprabhu climbed on his shoulders. This Leela is described in the Madhyakhand of Chaitanya Bhagavat in the 12th wave of Bhakti-Ratnakara. So like this, there were many pastimes of Mahaprabhu with Murari Gupta, one over the other. Each one is very, very great and to be relished. So there are many beautiful pastimes of Murari Gupta, and Mahaprabhu would always be pleased with his deity worship, the devotional attitude to the worshipable deity, the his worshipable deities, and the Lord would say that the Lord would say that he was his eternal servant, that is the Ramachandra's eternal servant Hanuman. So like that, even Jiva Goswami's father Anupam was devoted to Ram. Mahaprabhu compared him to Murari when Sanatan told him that Anupam was not able to give up worshipping Ram despite his brother's exhortations. So Rup and Sanatan tried a lot to convince their brother Anupam, Jiva Goswami's father, that he should take up bhakti of Radha Krishna rather than Sita Ram. So any devotee of Krishna or Radha Krishna always want that any of those who come across him may worship their lordships, Radha Krishna, because they are very much involved in that. So they feel that everyone should. And so Rup and Sanatan tried a lot to convince Anupam to worship Radha Krishna. But his faith was so established in Lord Ram's worship, he couldn't give up despite his brother's insistence. So Mahaprabhu said that previously he had tested Murari Gupta and found him also to be devoted to Ram in the same way. So the devotee who does not abandon his worshipable deity's lotus feet is very glorious. So that is the point that is mentioned here. And the glorious is that Lord who does not abandon his devotee. So, so in effect, Murari was an incarnation of Hanuman himself. And Mahaprabhu always taught him the principles of devotion to the worshipable deity. Mahaprabhu taught the principle of devotion to one's worshipable deity through Murari. When Murari is the Lord's name, Gupta means he is confidential. So Gupta, Murari Gupta. So Murari means here, the Gupta means hidden and they say. And Murari is the name of the Lord. So that is how the beautiful pastimes of Murari Gupta. And there is a shloka, Murari Gupta Hanuman Angadashi Purandara Yashri Uyugriv Namasid Govindanand Evasa. So these are the beautiful pastimes of Murari Gupta, and the Lord was very happy with him all the time. And the dealings between Murari Gupta and Lord Chaitanya was very, very much, so intimate. And uh, if you read, you can get a hang of how the Lord felt for Murari Gupta because he was exclusively devoted to his own worshipable deity, and he was he set an example. So without a particular devotion to a worshipable deity or Ishta Devata, one cannot advance in devotional service. So if you have one deity, you must have that deity only. You cannot change that deity. So Radha Krishna in the full bloom form of Radha Krishna, not the child form. How people play with Radha Rani and the birth of Radha Rani, and then they make Krishna also small and all that. So your deity must not change. The worshipable deity is very important. It must be Radha Krishna all the time. If you are worshipping, and they are the 14-year-old form of that deities. So that deity you are worshipping, then you have to worship that only. So so Mahaprabhu would always play with Murari Gupta. So one day he desired to test his loyalty to Ramachandra, and he asked him to worship Krishna. He told Murari that Krishna was the supreme personality of Godhead and the continent of all other incarnations. So he was the ocean of all the devotional flavors. The joy had to be in worshipping Krishna could not be in the service of any other form. So Murari promised Mahaprabhu that he would do as advised and worship Krishna. But when he returned home, he couldn't give up the lotus feet of Ramachandra. So just the thought of him made him so upset, and he stayed awake the entire night. In the morning, he went to Mahaprabhu and fell at his feet with tears in his eyes. He humbly submitted to the Lord. I've sold myself to Ramachandra. I cannot remove it from his feet. As soon as I try, it causes me great pain. I cannot give up the lotus feet of Raghunath. Even though this means disobeying you, what can I do? O merciful one, please allow me to give up my life before you rather than suffer this fate. So, Srinathe Janaki Nathe Chabhide परमात्मनि तथापि मम सर्वस्वो Rama Kamala Lochana. So the Lord was very much happy with his exclusive devotional attitude to the worshipable deity. So each one actually, when you start worshipping, the Lord Himself fixes your faith. So if the Lord fixes the faith, how can one give up the worship of the deity? So that is the thing. Hari Bol.